no trending spells, only echoes, ink, fire, and the long, winding path of the soul. I speak not for crowds, but for seekers, for those who still pause over ancient pages, who know that real magic lies in silence, in ritual, in memory, and in the uneasy truths that books try to hide. Here we speak of the Goetia and the angels, of Paracelsus Agrippa and those who walk the edge of light and shadow. Not as curiosities, but as keys. If you're here, it means something still stirs in you. Something old. Something forgotten. Welcome to Magister Clavus.
Hello, my friends. Okay, this is working. This is working. Hello. Hello, Earthling. I might be a little bit late, but this is a stream that I was planning for some time. So let's start. When I was thinking like what to bring or what to discuss also on YouTube, was that I plan to do a session about divination methods. We do have several methods of divination, and by divination we understand looking and using specific magical tools that can help us predict several maybe things before the ritual. Sometimes practitioner work with tarot cards, asking questions during the invocations. Many practitioners are using virgulum, throwing bones, working with cards. These are the mostly known that we are using, but definitely this is not the full list of divination methods. And truth to be told, in current age, we have lost a lot knowledge about divination. There were methods that were used before and are not used that much anymore. And the sessions that I plan in upcoming weeks, months, will be about the lost art of these methods. And I will be speaking mostly today. We are going to speak about divination, practically learning and predicting, meditating, predicting future, predicting the outcome of several actions, doing prophecies from fire. Divination from fire, that is called pyromancy. And in maybe upcoming sessions, I will speak about other methods like hydromancy, that's divining from water, or divining from animal intentions, for those that are into this stuff. Reading from bones, reading from runes. These are very complex methods, but and require a lot of training and theory. But with pyromancy or reading from fire, strangely, this is not being used that much currently. Probably because we are living in these spaces, mostly in the cities, where fire is dangerous. So if you will try to start some kind of fire pit in the middle of the room, that may be not the best idea. So yeah, don't do it. Don't try it at home. But we do many times this type of things through incense burners, or we are using charcoal and we put incense on it. So sometimes when we prepare some kind of offerings. Many modern practitioners write something on pergamon, or many times only just on paper, and burn it. So the fire offering is part of the pyromancy. Yeah. And that's the most frequent use, but this is something that was used from thousands and thousands of years before. We do not have much information about Neolithic cultures, but from the practice of shamanism, we know that fire was always understood as sometimes as a deity, or sometimes as a mediator between the realm of the spirits and the human domain, the society. Fire was always a central topic. It had a mixed. It's an element that is hard to master. On a one way, it gave safety to humanity. So people, like civilization, started with fire. There was always in the center of everything, there was this heart of fire. People were able to make food, pray, get heat. But also fire was something that differentiated us from animals that were afraid of fire. So fire was also defensive, but sometimes it could be also dangerous. But once the society started to work with fire, I think it created the main difference between us as mammals, as very highly functional beings, and the animals. And yeah, this is obvious, you might say, but in magic, what is very powerful is the mythic storytelling, legends. And these all were told near fire. Yeah, like old organizations, societies, fire was practically the place of safety, where when people are in relative safety, they start to dream. So it is something that I believe we might have the theory that gods were before humanity, or gods and all these rituals and all these pantheons of gods, they were developed and dreamed by people, and without fire it wouldn't be possible. So fire was always with us. So yeah, and still through the ages and thousands of years, at the end we end up with an incense burner, or at least a candle. Like Lucille is rightly pointing out, that she listens and watches the candle flame flicking, burning, and that's this basic connection with something else, with something otherness, this hardly described feeling of undescribable but yet transcendent spiritual experience, how I can say. Yeah. So where it all, or why pyromancy? Yeah, this dreaming about something else. When people started to pray, or when they started to connect with spiritual energies and beings, they used fire as mediator. And we practically feel that this is something inherent in us. When we want to get calm or we want to meditate, we start this candle. Fire is, of course, sometimes contained with a candle, yeah, but still we understand that it represents something primal. And sorry about me speaking so much about this theory, but fire is considered a primal energy. Yeah. And many times it was considered as a deity, yeah, as well. Ra, sun, yeah, all of these represented by fire. So people consulted fire to get the truth from the gods. The word pyromancy is from, and we have to understand that pyromancy comes from Greek, yeah, but the fire was used, of course, before that in Egypt, in Samaria, in Mesopotamia, yeah, in old China. Fire was used also as a divination method. People were putting in incense on the turtle shells. Turtle shells were used like incense burners thousands and thousands of years ago. Yeah, so all around the world, we can say the fire was this mediator to speak with the divinity. In Old Testament, we know fire is often associated with divine intervention. Burning bush, God was shown in a way of burning bush to Moses. Yeah, the pillar of fire. Yeah, Israelites were thinking. Yeah, even divine retribution, Sodom and Gomorrah stories. All of these were uh, mentionings that fire is a message of the gods or a god. And the word pyromancy, I will return back to it, coming from uh, uh, the old Greek word, yeah, that is called empiria, yeah, divination by fire. Yeah, so uh, this is something that is with us for a long time. Fire rituals start to be heavily used in, let's say, in Mesopotamia, in Zoroastrian rituals. Yeah, so fire was inside of the temple on the altars, and these ancient Zoroastrians, they believe that the fire has like something like Holy Spirit inside it. Yeah, and it later on was also part of Greek um, Greek rituals. Yeah, ancient Greeks were speaking about that fire was given to humanity by the Titan Prometheus. You know the story. Yeah, so fire was always related to something developing. In Luciferian tradition, Lucifer is also considered practically a falling star. Yeah, his energy is fire, so something spiritual. Yeah, in Renaissance magic, pyromancy, that was forbidden at that time. It was one of the forbidden arts. Uh, there are so many other mencies. Yeah, there is necromancy, geomancy, aeromancy, divining from air, hydromancy. We will speak more about that. Then there is the art of palmistry, chiromancy. Yeah. So fire was always part of this. Yeah. Um, but what I want to, if you want to go a little bit into the detail, yeah. So I want to speak a little bit more about a moment in history when fire became part of the imperial cult, that it became so, and we have more information about it. It's from the time of the Romans. Yeah, Roman Empire it's in its time of the greatest glory, let's say first century, current era, had large public rituals where sacrificial pyromancy was given to the gods, and from that divination was very practically daily performed. So how it was done? Well, the priest came, and usually there were several stages of the pyromancy ritual. Citizens gathered. They put in incense, or they put in an animal, and the priest who was delivering the offer, he first washed his hands, he's purified himself, and they used something called they came to the altar and they put something, it was called mola salsa. It's a sacred flour. This white thing from bread, and that was made by priestesses. The priestesses were called vestals. Vestals were virgins. So they made the bread, and the flour was put on the altar. So that was the water and flour, life. Then usually the priests invoked, and they invoked many gods, but they always started with the leading pantheon god. So they were that in current ages can be, it's not maybe worship, but it was Jupiter. And they said they named him like Jupiter Optime Maxime, like the greatest Jupiter. If this sacrifice is pleasing, grant us good harvest and victory. So they prayed for practically everything. And then they sacrificed. They sacrificed usually animals. The animal was, it might be a goat, or it was a cow. And there was a priest that was called Haruspex. Haruspex was a divinator or divine man. When they slayed the animal, they usually cut his throat. The blood was pouring. They opened the animal, and their entrails were examined by the Haruspex, by the divinator. And that's a story that I will speak maybe in additional videos. But the Haruspex is examining the entrails, and based on the quality of the entrails, he says whether the offering is accepted by Jupiter, father of gods, or it's not. So what were the probably what was the decision maker here? Well, they take the entrails and they put it on the altar fire, because there was a fire on the altar, and then also the organs like fat, liver, some sacred potions, heart, they were all laid on the altar fire, and they examined the fire, how it's taking these offerings. So if the fire took the offering in a positive way, so immediately it started to burn, the fat was boiling, and the flame were strong, they believed that the offering is accepted. But if also they were checking the composition of fat. So if it melted like swiftly, or the fire was flaring brightly, there was a strong smoke that was going up to the sky, not to the people, but up to the sky, that was a favorable omen, that was considered that in a good way. But if the fire like was crackling violently or smoke was everywhere around, heretic, that's an ill omen. So sometimes they said, okay, Jupiter, please accept our offering. Tell us, will the harvest will be strong, or will the marriage will be fruitful, or no, will the marriage bring children? They were using this pyromantic method, and it was not just a superstition. They, as a society, believed in this sacrificial pyromancy rite so strong that like before any major undertaking, even like state affair, that Rome, before they went into the war against Carthaginians, Hannibal and so on, they always first do the pyromancy rituals. And if the offering for the war was if the omen was good, only then the army marched to the war. If the offering was not that good, the army waited. Yeah, so that, for them, that was not just some kind of play for the masses, but very powerful divination method. Yeah. So and again, as Lucille is saying, it's not only Jupiter. We understand that this was like a major powerful deity. Yeah, so you can, it's very hard to do this type of ritual right now with all of the animal and offering and so on, but you can use usually an animal that is already ethically slaughtered, yeah, and can work on it mostly outside. These were outside rituals. Yeah, so fire, incense burning can be also used. You see it from the quality of the flame, sometimes how it's flickering. You can maybe apply this type of ritual even nowadays. Yeah. So and it can be different entity that you are trying to reach to. Yeah. There were many types of pyromancy. It's not that only animals were being offered. Yeah. So just so you have maybe an idea, like there were like divination that was done by uh, burning of the plants, not animals. Many times even we can do it, and it is still called botanomancy, from Latin. Like you burn the plants, and specific plants that I recommend you to read some books about magical plants. Plant that is related to some planetary power, Jupiterian, Saturnian, Martian, Venusian roses. You burn the roses, and you see from the fire, the quality of the fire, the essential oils. You see it and you feel it mostly, whether the ritual is going to be right or not, whether you are doing an offering to some kind of spirit through the burning of the plants. You can see the quality. Yeah. There was another very famous ritual, mostly for protection. Salt was put into the fire. Salt is always a uh, protective type of material. Yeah, and when the salt is put into the fire starts to burn more strongly, and you see how it reacts. It was called allomancy. Yeah. Then something that is, I already said, once the animal is put in, they were always checking the quality of the smoke. So the haruspex, the main divinator, was checking the type of the smoke. It depended, of course, and I have to be open here. Sometimes when Rome started to lose its power, they tried to cheat it a little bit. They used more quality wood, that was burning with more frequency. And in that situation, they said, "Oh, you see, the omen is strong. The flame is taking the offering." But it was a time of Rome already declining, so maybe the gods were not happy about such cheating, and Rome, we know, it ended. It was destroyed, yeah, by Visigoths and so on, but also before that, yeah, Alaric came, and yeah, so type of wood could have changed it, but in those pure times, Haruspex was checking the type of flame, and it was called capnomancy. It's all type of pyromancy. Yeah. If you are burning, sometimes when there was a victory after the war, yeah, or there was an emperor was born, or the emperor was chosen, yeah, or someone got a tribute, some very high office, yeah, they, as a thanks, went to the pyromancy. They did this pyromancy ritual, and they were burning the laurel leaves, and that's called daphnomancy. Sometimes they were throwing in bones from the animals, and they were watching how the bones is being absorbed by the fire, how it cracks, if it started to crack immediately under the fire, if the bones were consumed. Bone always brings this, it's not totally destroyed, but they saw how it's been accepted by the fire. That's called osteomancy. Yeah. And so there are so many pyromantic rituals that were practically used. Another thing is, in the Roman Empire, there was, now it's almost forgotten, yeah, but there was a cult that is called the cult of Vesta. Vesta was a goddess of fire, yeah, and she was a old Roman goddess, a virgin goddess, a goddess of hearth, home, family, and was extremely popular in Rome, in ancient Rome. There was like a even temple of Vesta. Now her animal, by the way, was donkey. That's interesting. And Vesta was daughter of Ops. Ops is it's a nymph practically, and her father was Saturn. So Saturn, being a god of we can say even like someone primordial chaos, yeah. Vesta was, people were afraid of Saturn, because he represented winter, darkness, the inevitability of death. So fire was a protector, not a protector, but maybe it made things a little bit easier. So they understood that Vesta and her fire ritual to Vesta might make Saturn a little bit less harsh during the whole year. Saturn, as a father of Jupiter, was dreaded, feared, but still was venerated. And if they felt that, for example, there is a war or something, Rome was later on afraid of barbarians, or there was some kind of sickness or very strong bad harvest, they believe that it's a Saturnian thing. It's the cold, the winter, the death is too strong. So they did even either the Saturnalia, or they came to the daughter of Saturn. They believed that, oh yeah, she will have a good effect on him, and that it's like poetic, yeah, that it was Vesta. Yeah, Vesta was this protector of families and life. Later on, of course, Vesta was replaced. Yeah, Vesta was replaced by Christian cults, but it took a very long time until the cult of Vesta was closed. It was closed by Christian Emperor Theodosius that accepted Christianity in 391. So and they disbanded the cult of Vesta, but the fire rituals still remained. Yeah. There is we know that Vesta was the daughter of Saturn and Ops, but she was a sister in Roman gods, Roman pantheon. She was a sister of Jupiter, so she was a major god. Neptune, Pluto, Juno, Ceres, yeah. So in Greek, if you are interested, who is the equivalent of Vesta, it's Hestia. Yeah, that's Greek. Romans took a lot of gods from Greek pantheon, but rename it. Yeah. So she's being named by Ovidius, Cicero, and others. And but what is interesting here is that she had followers, and her priestesses were Vestal priestesses that were virgins. Yeah, and they were able to bring the holy offering to the fire. They were bringing the offering to the fire pit, where the Haruspex, who was the man, was later on checking on the entrails, how they are burning, how the smoke is produced. Why it was who were these vessels? Why they were virgins? Yeah, because it represented the purity. Yeah, the purity of offering, the best that the society can give to the gods. And it was not only the best cow or the best donkey. It was given by the purest of the society. Vestal priestesses were usually younger daughters of nobility. It was a great honor to be chosen a Vestal priestess. Once, and they could never marry. That's interesting. Only, of course, there were situations that it was as they were very young in Rome. Usually, we are speaking 14 years old girls. Yeah, that's already a marriage time for Romans. Romans were marrying early. Yeah, so when sometimes, of course, with these young women, they were looked by the men they were, of course, sometimes there were situations that they were kidnapped and so on, but to violate or do something to the Vestal priestess was considered one of the highest breaches of the Roman law, and was punishable by brutal death, painful death. Usually, these people were crucified. Yeah, so everyone would think twice to touch Vesta, or Vestal priestess. Yeah, but that's a different from Zoroastrian rituals, where priestesses in Zoroastrian rites were many times sacred prostitutes. But that's a different story. But they were taking money for the act of love, and that was given to the temple. But with the Vestals, it's different. Only we know, of course, Suetonius and others, those that write about Roman times, that in time of great degeneracy of Roman nobility, let's say Nero, the emperor that was living shortly after Christ's crucifixion, we say 450, around year 50, he was known to violate Vestal priestesses for his sexual enjoyment. And that created a huge hatred towards him. But he pronounced himself God. Yeah, so he said that I can because I am a god. But we know that Nero ended, he was lynched practically. So gods punished him. They still believe later on that he got what he deserved because he did things that he shouldn't be doing. Yeah, so with there is this thing like how these Vestal priestesses were approaching the offering. I can also say to you, yeah, Vestals approached the altar always barefoot, and they were veiled. Yeah, it was done in silence. And they sometimes not only brought the offering, but also put the wood on the flame. And they were also allowed to take the holy ashes from the offering. The ashes were carefully removed and they were preserved. And during certain festivals, yeah, they got into trance sometimes. Yeah. So what was considered as a terrible omen during the ritual sometimes is that the fire went out. Yeah, so that's something that was considered a very bad omen. And it was possible to rekindle the fire, but only from the fraction of the oldest fire. So they were always looking into the ash for this kindles of fire, because it was not allowed to fire the offering, or to refire the or rekindle the fire from another flame. They had to be very careful that the fire is still working. Yeah, so if something like that happened, the highest priest, that was a man, he was called Pontifex Maximus, had to do very deep prayers, because it always meant something wrong. This technique of rekindling fire even works even until our rituals. Many magicians of contemporary times, when they start with the fire during the invocations and the fire went out just like that, they stop the ritual, because it's not right. Yeah. How can you do it like nowadays? Yeah. So the technique can be emulated. Yeah. So you prepare some clean space, with a brazier or with this fire pit or hearth, yeah, and you start to offer things to the fire. It can be grain, it can be salt, we spoke about it, or incense. What kind of incense depends on the ritual, yeah, but Romans were offering a very specific incense that was called like libation, that comes from liba, yeah. Many times frankincense, that's used even today, was used, but frankincense was very expensive. Frankincense was a resin that is still can be bought today, but the best resin, as in those times, even in these days, is from Oman, which is a land to the near the Indian or Arabian Sea. Currently, in that time, it was not called Oman, but it was from those lands. Like you have Emirates, United Arab Emirates, and then you have the Sultanate of Oman. And in that area, there are frankincense trees, and they were considered the best in the known world at that time. Known world was Europe, and yeah, also silk. That was Romans had, for example, they knew silk because it came from China, and it was brought to the lands of Oman. That in that time it was not Oman, and that was the crossroads of the Silk Road. So all of these expensive things were coming into Rome, and they had their nobles and magicians. There might have been having silk robes, but silk was considered a luxury. Yeah, it was even frowned upon. Yeah, that it's like too expensive, and that's not a Roman ideal of austerity. Yeah, but very rich people had it sometimes. Yeah. But I'm speaking about the frankincense. So frankincense was used as a incense, and you can use it as well. If you don't have the Oman one or the dot from Oman, you can have a different one. But if you want to keep with the historicality, I would go with it. Yeah. So let's say you want to do replicate the Roman ritual. Yeah. So we know that the ritual was done in silence, but Pontifex Maximus, the highest priest, in this situation, it will be you. Usually he proclaimed something in Latin. Yeah, so he said something like, came and he said, like, in Latin it was, sorry for my Latin, like Vesta Mater custodi ignem ostende signum. Yeah, so it's like Mother Vesta, guard the fire, show a sign. Yeah, so it's like, give us protection, show us whether our offer is being accepted. And then they cast the incense into it, or grain or salt, or then the animal was cut, and the incense is like liver, everything was put into the fire, and Haruspex, the divinator, got into the trance state. Yeah, he felt the energy, and he started to feel and say that how it is accepted. And all of the people were waiting. Yeah, if the fire went down, very bad thing. If the fire went up, they started to be, but the rituals were mostly silent. That's interesting. They were watching in silence. Yeah, so if it if it sparked, rise, smoke, goes straight, yeah, it's considered as a favorable sign. For them, the fire was a dialogue with divinity. The god spoke in the way that flame was accepted or rejected. So later on, once Theodosius, of course, disbanded this beautiful tradition, fire lost its divinity. Yeah, fire and Christianity started to put fire as a symbol of hell. And now we start to understand it. Yeah, the fire, the divinatory, the Promethean fire, the Luciferian fire, even if we may say, that the mediator to speak to the gods, to spirituality, was defamed, was turned from a symbol of spiritual ascension to the symbol of something dark, ill. Hell is created. It's interesting that the ancient Christians first, they haven't had understanding of hell. Hell as a concept starts around 5th century. To the early Christians, hell was not known. It started to get this understanding only when the Christian, because Christians first believed that Christ will return during their age. But when Paul, who was preaching, and Peter and Paul, yeah, when they started to preach, and mostly Peter, that was in Rome, yeah, during Nero times, when they came to him, the Christians were then, of course, prayed by the society, because they considered them a Jewish sect and so on. But the early Christians came to Peter and were asking him, okay, when is Christ, Jesus, going to come back? We are being hunted by the Romans, and he thought, yeah, it will come, and the kingdom of God will be upon you. And but the first people started to die, yeah, and they believe that everyone will be protected by Christ, and they came to him, okay, but my father died, and he is now not going to meet Christ. He is not going to see Jesus. Where is Jesus? You told us that Jesus told us that you will see me, but my father died, and what if I die? I will be not able to speak to my children, because I am dead, and they will be forever with Christ in his new heavenly land. Yeah, so the idea came that, don't worry, Christ will resurrect you all, but only those that are with him. Good, yeah, made them maybe not that happy, but okay, yeah, will be resurrected. 2nd, 3rd century, they started to more and more push this doctrine. And but then came another question. So where are those that are not that nice to Jesus? What happens to them? And where are those that are dead and not with us, but so they are dead and they will be resurrected? Where they are? And are they with those that are evil? So then it comes this three-way state of death. Yeah. So the dead are sleeping, but their souls are in different areas. Yeah, they are sleeping, they will be resurrected, and they will go to heaven, or they will not go to heaven. And then the question around 4th century started to be like, so where they are going, those that are not going to heaven and with Christ and to live in his heavenly kingdom, where they are going to go? And they created that space that is called hell. That's doctrine of the church. And they will be forever burning in hell, and burning in hell. Yeah, so Vesta was very powerful. So they changed the idea of heavenly fire to the fire of hell. Uh, Not to magicians, I think. We there are still cultures that feel that fire is a mark of civilization, of society, of illumination. Yeah, and that's I think is right. Yeah. So I would say fascinating story. Yeah, in in these times, like uh, when I work with, or when I was working with some kind of spirits, yeah, I took an offering. You have it even now, like for example, in classical Luciferian demonology terms. Yeah, a lot of people uh, take write something, yeah, into the on paper, put some sigil in. Uh, some are using blood, their own, usually recommended, yeah. And they, once they say and invoke, in the moment of invocation, they have the incense burner, and they take the pergamon or papyri with their intention that might be marked by offering, yeah, many times by blood in Luciferianism. Not always. It can be flowers, yeah. And they put it into the fire, and they watch. It's very strange, intensive feeling to see your offering, the pergamon or papyri or very high quality paper. Please don't do it on these marked papers, like yeah, on cheap paper, because mostly, you know, paper that is being sold 99% right now, it's using cellulose. Yeah, so it's but also it's being chemically bleached, and the fire is chemical in a way. It's not that organic. Yeah, it burns quickly. Try to do it. Yeah, so those old papers were burning slowly. Yeah, and they were watching, buy quality paper if you really want to do a ritual of fire and pyromancy. Invest a little bit. Don't buy the cheap cellulose bleached paper, yeah, because it will burn quickly and it's done. But anyway, yeah, and it creates a little bit acrid smoke that is not pleasant to breathe. Yeah. So by the way how the flame goes, you can feel whether the offering is accepted or it's denied, or you will have the feeling of it. uh, I usually, you can also do the divination not only from the type of flame, but also from the type of smoke. So if you let's say you have basic incense burner and you put this charcoal that is heated, and on that you put a little bit of resin, like frankincense, you will start to notice that it will start to smoke. And the smoke is important to see what type of it requires a little bit of feeling, but it's not that difficult. You will see that the way of the fumes of the and might be pleasant, might create even small when you are reciting something or calling a specific spirit. Maybe it's an imagination, maybe it's not, but you will see that the smoke is forming in a ways, and it's very intimate and powerful moment. Yeah. uh, recently a lot of practitioners just work with the candle, but candle should also be done from quality materials, which creates another difficulties for contemporary magicians, because we are many times using candles that are okay to be fine at home, but they are not from the beeswax. Yeah, they are uh, practically made chemically. Yeah, it's not bad. If you have been doing that before, fine for you. You are not making something bad, but always when you offer something, offer organic materials or precious metals or high quality wood or good incense. Yeah. And thank you very much, light fighters. And it always, you see this, it always makes me happy that it's ego speaking. Thank you very much. Glad that you like it. Yeah. So uh, try to offer something nice. Yeah. And for the candles, many times the candles that are created right now are not organic. So beeswax is amazing. These are more expensive, hard to get, at least in Europe. I don't know, but it's always difficult to get a handmade beeswax candle. Maybe you are living in a part of the world where you are more luckier. There are people that can even make it by themselves. That's fascinating art. And of course, there are horror stories that I have to mention, but that's real. It was made also from the human wax, from human fat in medieval times. That's true. In mostly in the but please, this is, yeah, it's historical. Again, I have to say to the YouTube here, I am not promoting this crazy stuff, yeah, but I am just stating historical fact that in 14th 15th century the candles could be bought from human fat, and the human fat was from the prisoners or those that were breaking the law. So in medieval times, these people were burned or so on. I don't know the process how they did it. I don't want even to think about it. Maybe I know, but it's not for YouTube yet. So they made candles. So don't do it. And I will also tell you why you should avoid animal fat, because it was not only humans, they were using also animal fat. But from magical perspective, bee is beeswax is used for ritual cleansing rituals. Once in many cultures like Vodun, Kimbanda, and mostly in Voodoo, Bokors, who are the black magicians. I hate the word black magic. Like, they are working with the spirits of the dead, sometimes with Loa that are, or Eshu in Kimbanda, yeah, that are a little bit on the darker side, or yeah, or represent more predatory energies. Then the wax is made mostly from animal fat. It has its uses, yeah, very powerful. But if you in your ritual use and light a candle from animal fat, it is fire is practically, it's believed in this in many cultures that you are burning practically a soul or the physical representation of an animal. So there is something spiritual in it, and it's very much calling in specific energies called astral larvae, yeah, that are feasting on it, yeah, which is something that some specific Bokors shamans use, and they can work. It creates a lot of astral egregores around it, yeah. So for a peaceful ritual, divination ritual, I would recommend to use a natural component like beeswax. If you are working on necromantic ritual, something darker, use animal wax. I mean, animal fat. Sorry, animal fat. Yeah, so that's human fat. I don't know. I know that only know that it was used in the 14th, 15th century. Whether it's still made somewhere legally, I have no idea. Yeah, but that it's different. Yeah, so I never had such situation, but I saw animal fat candles, and those that of you that have this perception can feel that the energy is different, whether it's from a living animal or it's from, let's say, beeswax. Yeah. Fire as well. Incense important. What type of incense are you using? That's gonna flavor, color your ritual. Frankincense for protection, many times universal thing. Yeah. If you work with more Saturnian things like that, use copal. Yeah. If you are working with a love magic, yeah, so dragon blood, very universal. Or you can go into the very specific ones, myrrh, yeah, that's used also for protection in many Byzantine Eastern Orthodox churches. Myrrh is being used, or frankincense. Frankincense more in Western Catholicism, but they are not using incense very much recent days. Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, but the incense still stayed with the fire is still present there. Yeah, even if they said that it's from hell, without fire you have no incense. So it's purifying. Yeah. Medieval magicians were experimenting with other type of instances. Also, Arabic magicians were combining incense that would be considered illegal and is considered illegal these days. So again, I'm not implying anything like that, but that's the truth. Arabic magicians in the 12th century were using hashish. Yeah, that was put into the. You can imagine, or opium. Yeah, opium was and many times still is used in certain rituals where it create, but it's very dangerous, by the way. Yeah, because of course you can intoxicate yourself. You can die from it. Yeah, so important thing, whatever you are going to use an incense, any legal substance, be careful about the air. Yeah, and that's another element, because you don't want to end up poisoned. Yeah. Medieval magicians were using mercury, yeah, or even they were trying to burn metals, yeah, but that can create very toxic stuff. Yeah, so you should have some understanding of chemistry and how specific materials, especially, be very important, be very careful about. Some people are working with seals that are made from lead, yeah, and they are trying to melt them. lead is relatively easily melted, but it creates extremely toxic, deadly substances that can kill you. Yeah, lead was used in, and I was shocked, to be honest. I am not going to mention those books, that even modern contemporary magicians were saying that you should be like burning the seal made from lead during specific rituals where you are calling in spirits. Good luck with that. Yeah, you can poison yourself to death. Yeah, so I it should be a warning there. Yeah, when we work with some kind of specific metals are dangerous. Yeah, so I would stay with uh, uh, with normal things. Yeah, to make things funny. Yeah, I think here rope carioja. Sorry, carioja. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce. Um, Hashish candles could be handy for contacting the ghost of Bob Marley. Yeah, if we take it seriously, in necromantic rituals, when you are calling a ghost, I would be using an animal fat candle, but you will call in a lot of unwanted energies, astral larvae, and so on, and you might get a lot of pretenders and things like that. Your vision might be diluted by that. So I consider necromantic operation a specifically forceful calling of the dead a very dangerous ritual. The Definitely with protection, and you should know whom you are calling. There are simpler ways how to do it, of course, or combine it with the black mirror. Yeah, through mirror, you try to get into you look into the black mirror, and you also have those candles around, so it's quite necromantic. Some people do it through magic attenors. They are using skulls or even skulls, bones and skulls. Yeah, that's also not legal. Yeah, but in mostly in Agori and Hindu traditions, human remains are used for necromantic ritual. This is again illegal in mostly Western world, where human remains are considered untouchable, and you will be breaking law by doing that. I'm just saying. Yeah, so there were practitioners in the past, until 1950s, where the human bones were more easily obtained. They could be bought on specific markets, but then it became illegal. Yeah, whether I would be using it to call Bob Marley, he might be quite angry about that. Imagine how many people are invoking him. Yeah, so the guy must have no rest. Yeah, let him rest. Yeah, so hashish candles, powerful stuff. Yeah, yeah. So that's it. I'm taking in your questions. It was a little bit funny session. I think next time we should speak about the hydromancy. That's sometimes people have to avoid droning then, but that's another story. But try to replicate in safe conditions and with healthy and legal materials the pyromantic ritual. You can choose another spirits, yeah, but fire really restarts your imagination. Just do it in a safe way. Yeah, don't burn yourself. A lot of people do. I'm so surprised by that. I did burn myself many times. Yeah, incense burners are dangerous things. They are hot. Yeah, so So always use common sense, and have, if you do it indoor, try to use incenses that are not that aggressive. Yeah, definitely don't use or burn metals. That can be dangerous. Okay. Yeah, vegetable farm. I'm almost reaching out the end of the of the session. So, but please feel free to check the content. Any questions at the end? I see there are still a couple of you here. Yeah. Oh, this is the never-ending question. It's like Bob Marley question. What do I think about? Is it should I still discuss this? Yeah, I have nothing about Mr. Cutting. Yeah, he is an author that has, and I do not know him directly, but I know some people that are related to him. I have read few of his books. It's not my cup of tea, to be honest. But everyone has a right to do to have his own practice. I know that he's known in the US, definitely very known person. Not my cup of tea, but personally, uh, I I I prefer more older materials, to be honest. Yeah, I think that he is putting a lot of his own practice into his books. I am more working with traditional sources. It's a lot of imaginative stuff. I stand by it. It's a lot of things that he created as an author. But so is, I don't know, like Simon's Necronomicon. Yeah, that's also a made up thing and can work. So a lot of practitioners might have a good experience with his works, but I don't consider it traditional magic. Yeah, so but magic is evolving. Yeah, so his books are beautifully made, very pricey, uh, but some of his books are interesting. Where I don't agree is some of his this I don't know, I like this ideas become a living god, and yeah, putting a lot of things on yourself, your ego building. I am perfect, I am a god. Maybe I misunderstand him, maybe he has another idea, but to me this is maybe dangerous to the practice, because magicians should be more self-aware. And the books are good, but not to me. Yeah, I believe there are other books in the market, mostly the older ones. And if you want to work with goetic energies, work with Lesser Key of Solomon, or Grimoerum Verum, or Faustian grimoires from the 17th century. Nothing trumps that. Yeah, but author known. Yeah. When we invoke spirits, do we need to face east all the time, or does it depend on the element of the spirit? Oh, this is a tricky question. When we invoke spirits, I would be always facing east, because east is considered the start of the ritual. We start with the east. Yeah, element of the spirit is, spirits are not made from just single element until you are working with elemental energies. But even then, tradition says east should be the starting site of all. It's the opening site. Churches, temples, whether Christian, whether Vestian, whether Roman, they were always positioned like that, that the spirit, that the main operator is turned to the east, and the ritual then of course is turning and might have the climax on the west, but east is the site. Okay, maybe one more question. I have been starting to make more connection with my ancestors and building relationship with them. Any advice you would think could be useful for me with this? That's a very powerful current, and also working with ancestors. There are so many traditions. We can say even most modern in America, in South America, Latin America. We can speak about Santa Muerte. Yeah, this is even ancestral movement. But there is kami, yeah, in Japan, Shintoism. It's practically working with ancestral spirits. A lot of shamanistic traditions work with ancestral spirits without the aggressive ritualism of necromancy. You can connect with the spirits through invocation, offering vestas, pyromancy rituals. You don't have to push spirits by burning sigils, burning bones. In necromancy, 15th century, of course, many times the energy was like someone had a human skull, and on that they were burning maybe bones and so on, because with that message they wanted to connect with the other spirits. Many medieval magicians were using the children as a medium. Yeah, so it's also considered very controversial now. Yeah, try to use 12-year boy as a medium in your ritual to call the spirits of the dead. So that's necromancy. But working with ancestors, meditate, do spiritual journeys, try to journey to them, meet with them, but don't disturb them in a forceful way. That would be my recommendation. Yeah. A lot of people that start with the art of necromancy doesn't have to do the things like that. Yeah, I'm not speaking about you doing necromancy, but they dream in graveyards and so on. It takes something. Yeah, you meet a lot of strange things there. So I don't recommend the practice as well, but it's more extreme one. Agori in India, working daily with the dead. You had the smashan, the prasan, the place where the dead are being burned. If you go to India and to the river Ganga, that's something that is that stays with you. Yeah, it's like I remember like people that went there, and there are these agori. Yeah, and you gave money to the agori. That's the street saint. You give him, I don't know, some rupias, and he politely thanks you, and he takes the money bill, he burns it, and he smokes a cigarette from the money, and he says, "Thank you, sir," and then he pours the human skull that is used as a practically thing that he drinks water from that skull, and he offers it to you. Do you want to drink? Thank you for the cigarette. Yeah, that's, they are living in different space. Yeah, the value everything. Yeah, I took a sip. Yeah. Okay. So you can work with the ancestors without doing extreme things. Yeah. So, and that's more rewarding. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah. shamanistic approach. Beautiful. We will speak about divination from throwing bones. That's fascinating. Yeah, that's really fascinating. But probably next time. Yeah. Just one more question by Earthling. I was trying to invoke spirits but felt a special connection always in the hour of Mercury. Do you advise I move to planetary magic or choose spirits of Mercury? Also for others joining here, I on my Patreon, a little bit of advertisement. On my Patreon, I try to make videos that are like, let's say, about planetary magic. That is very important part of magical traditions practically all around the world. But to answer, so the more details you can find there, what is the hour of Mercury, what are the things like that. But if I advise for you to move to planetary magic or choose spirits of Mercury, it's this one thing is with another. Yeah, if you are going to work with the Mercurian spirits, you have to use the time, the hours, and the invocation as per Arbatel or planetary magic and so on. So if hour of Mercury speaks to you due to your zodiac and energetical moment, yeah, stick with the hour of Mercury, but try also others, because Mercury is addictive. Yeah, it's easy or easier to work during, not easy, it's not easy, but it's easier to work with during mercurial hours when we are trying to connect with certain spirits. Mercurial spirits are very chatty, talkative, relatively easier to invoke, but it can be addicting. Yeah, then so the practice makes master. If I were you, I would start with this, work with planetary magic, maybe not Arbatel directly, but you can work with specific hours and feel the difference, how it feels to work in specific planetary hours. And you can invoke the spirits of specific planets, like we discussed in that other separate videos, and I will be speaking more about those also later. So you can work with a lot of energies during the hour of Mercury, because Mercury is the messenger. Yeah, and combine it with the hour with the fire, like we discussed. Yeah. My recommendation is to improvise sometimes. Yeah, try, experiment what it feels. Maybe it will not work. Try something else. And as we have mentioned, Santa Muerte, I think it's proper and respectful to end up with her. Mexican witchery and culture are linked to the ancestors. One of the most popular days is November 1st, and second day, Dia de los Muertos. Thank you very much for this. And this is also something for others that would like to encounter with this beautiful current. Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah, I am also, I enjoy reading, and in my own personal place, Santa Muerte has its own place. Powerful. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah. So wish you a good day. If you are looking for a good time for your pyromantic ritual and divination, always check evening is the greatest. Yeah. Jupiter, if you want to go classic, it was Thursday. Yeah. So Jupiterian hour, Jupiterian day, and try to speak to the gods. Yeah. Whatever they are. But I believe we can reach them through the fire. Have a great day. Speak